130 years ago, this month, on the last night of August, one of the most devastating earthquakes in American history rattled the eastern United States. Much of it centered around Charleston, South Carolina, which got the naming rights because more than 6 people died, millions of dollars in damage occurred, and a lot of the city essentially fell down. That's the thing about a big earthquake. You don't have to be close to feel it. Here in Augusta, we weren't thinking of it as a Charleston earthquake. We were thinking it was Augusta's earthquake. And some people were thinking it was the end of the world. The Chronicle's coverage more than a century later for a late-night earthquake was pretty impressive and alarming. Its headlines in the following morning's edition reported a devastating night. Terror all around. Earthquake. Walls swayed, ground trembled. Second shock after people flocked into streets. Some thought Judgment Day had come. Church bells rang all over town, not from pull ropes, but from the jostling of the quake itself. Then bricks and chimneys and ceilings began to come crashing down. Joseph R. Lamar, lawyer, judge, state legislator, and a future U.S. Supreme Court justice, almost didn't fulfill that destiny because the entire ceiling collapsed in a room he had just walked out of. All across town, things fell down. Chimneys, ceilings, mirrors. They all broke, or fell, or both. For most people, safer was out in the open, away from falling walls and buildings. Uptown people fled into the street, the Chronicle reported, gesticulating excitedly and wondering whether their time had come or not. A mother with a young babe at her breast was seen weeping and wailing and begging God to save her and her children. Speaking of the Chronicle, crowds gathered in front of its downtown office, awaiting news, which its reporters could have probably provided if they had not been scattered all over town trying to give us descriptions of destruction. The Union Depot train station was a madhouse. People couldn't decide whether to get out of town or stay away from trains. At the train station, a Chronicle reporter admitted he had tripped over a woman who had fainted. At St. James Methodist Church on Green Street, workmen had been busy for months erecting a new facade, belfry, and sanctuary. When things began to rock and roll that night, the contractor, Ben Story of McMurphy & Story Construction, realized the danger, that the ground shocks could cause the walls of the church to collapse. Story quickly summoned his workmen back on the job and began boarding up windows and bracing walls. The walls of St. James Church are still standing today, just in time for its 160th anniversary this October. You know what else worked? Augusta. When it found out that Charleston suffered more damage, they began to take up collections. That's hardly earth-shaking, but it was the right thing to do.